ستيج واقف طول. طيب شوف صار تست. السلام عليكم، كيف الحال؟ مساء الخير. تسمحوا لي يعني معظم presentation I'll do it in English because I feel a little bit more comfortable in that, but يعني I try my best if it's I'll balance it as much as possible. But السلام عليكم، مساء الخير. Thank you everybody for joining today. Middle of the week. I know everybody is like grinding through the week and it's almost there, but it's not. And thank you for making the time coming like here at 7:30 at night after work. I'm sure everybody has like better plans, but I do appreciate it. Hopefully I can do a good job by like sharing some information that is useful. This is a small session. I think it's broadcasted, but like there's going to be an opportunity for a Q&A. But at any point that you guys have a comment or a question or a feedback, I'm very open to it. Actually, it'll make it a little bit more fun. So if the team will start with the slides. So we're going to talk a little bit more about AI and fintechs, but before we go to that, like we're going to discuss, I'm going to like introduce myself. My name is Ahmed Abbas. I'm the VP of Commercial for Muzun. So Muzun is considered the powerhouse, AI powerhouse in the kingdom. We've been doing a lot of technologies in the past, since 2017. Mostly custom-based technologies for large institutes and government entities. So we learned through the years that we can do a lot with the data that we have, and we have done really, really well. In the past few years, we learned that we have a good experience in supporting financial institutes. These financial institutes can be from banks, digital banks, fintechs, even insurance companies. And we have built this like great technology that we call Focal. It's a SaaS, software as a service platform that can help, let's say, financial institutes to figure out their compliances. So it's a compliance platform, and we have done really well in the past few years, and we have worked closely with Saudi Fintech by supporting the fintech landscape to be compliant and making sure that covering anti-money laundering solutions, anti-fraud, and so on. And we have embedded in a lot of AI technology within our platform. So we'll talk a little bit more about the journey and how we saw the challenges and where we have embedded AI with time in our platform. And at the end of the day, like I think like we'll realize later on, there's a lot of opportunities, but this is the start of the journey over here. Again, my name is Ahmed. I'm the VP of Commercial, and what does that mean? I'm responsible for the revenue effort. So the way I look at it, I'm responsible for the customer life cycle. So I do engage with customers when they're prospects. They're still early. They didn't buy the solution. We discuss with them. We learn about them. We present our technology. We have a technical team that's responsible for that. We go through the whole cycle. And because we are a SaaS, it's a software as a service, we have to take care of the customer even post-sales. And that's very, very important in the world of fintech, because most of the contracts are annual, and I always say, like, we have to earn the business every single year, compared with softwares. Historically, like softwares, the legacy solutions, let's say, you sell the software, you can pretty much disappear. You're stuck with it. So that's the beauty of my role, I think, is the total engagement with the customer, make sure they're happy. I cannot sell and run away. I did sell software probably in 2008, 2009. I was based in the US in those days, and software as a service was new. And I think in my perspective, with my experience, that was the first time I saw, like, this is a new thing, SaaS. I used to even compete with SaaS products, like, yeah, why would you buy a SaaS product? They're gonna own your data. And it didn't take me long to realize that's the future. And I started selling SaaS solutions since 2009 to 2010. So that, it has been a while. And why I'm saying this, it's very much like we're seeing a new phase when it comes to AI that reminds me of that experience. And I think we all understand the power of machine learning and AI, and it's the next revolution that we're seeing. So we want to talk a little bit more about fintech and these type of technologies and how we're seeing it today. So first of all, like, we do see a big opportunity. Again, these are certain numbers that shows us like how AI is becoming really close when it comes to fintech. So we see the opportunity by like how many people are using fintechs in the world. And I think this is what do you call it, an international number. Maybe, like, I don't want to share like wrong numbers, but I'm sure someone from Saudi fintech can attest to the number of fintechs that we're seeing in Saudi. The number of people are transacting through a fintech. I'm sure all of us right now has a certain app that does a certain transaction. And Saudi fintech is doing a great job when it comes to that, supporting the landscape, and I think that's very, very important. So we all see the opportunity over there. I'm still in that slide, I'm sorry, man. The first step with AI is like just making things easier. There's a certain task that requires a human element, and it's becoming redundant. And why should I depend on human beings when I do it? There's a margin of error, people cost money, time, and so on. And we can see, like, everybody can realize that there's so much tasks out there that AI can help us right now. And I think, like, again, like the cliche example right now, ChatGPT, like, you can do so much with it, and you can minimize the amount of work that we've been doing. But I also I can see also in our experience that there's a lot of savings from banking and financial institutes. I'll take banking as an example over here versus fintech because of the number of transactions, and the volume of these transactions is higher, and we're seeing more value over there. It will, in time, fintech will get to a point where they're not even competing. They will surpass the traditional way of transacting. Now, another thing is we expect there's a lot of revenue happening from an AI. So, like, again, I don't know if you're, I'm sure that if you're here today, you are part of the fintech community, and you're either working for a company or have an idea or you want to become better at what you do. There's a lot of opportunities where you can add that AI, again, layer within your operation. And I think that hopefully today, like, the idea is, like, maybe I can give you certain insights and you can relate to yourself and like, aha, that makes a little bit more sense. So there's, again, a lot of opportunities. These opportunities mean revenue. And again, like, I think, like, this is, we need, as people leading within this, within the fintech, that we need to see how we can embed AI in our platforms. So again, I was just saying, like, it's not just a trend. It's happening. We're seeing it a lot. I'll focus a little bit more about the examples that we're doing with our technology and how we're seeing that type of part of AI is embedded with our technology and how we're seeing value over there. So again, Muzon is a compliance platform. Within the compliance aspect, like, for instance, one example is we provide, let's say, certain scenarios for these financial institutes to minimize fraud. So usually, like, you put a scenario, so you tell the system, if this happens, if X, A plus B happens, give me Y. And this is usually after the fact. So when you embed the AI aspects, it will start looking at behaviors and trends. So before that fraud happens, you will be able to create a certain rule that will tell you this is a very high suspicious type of transactions. That's one way to look at it. Another example, credit scoring risk assessment. This is actually interesting because usually, historically, like, how you decide that, for instance, Ahmed is worthy of this loan. They look at my salary. Have I paid all my loans before? This is very basic information. There's a very big portion of people that maybe they don't follow under these categories and they don't have access to a loan, even though they are a good fit and their worthiness of this. And this, maybe I have other slides, I can talk a little bit more about that, but we see a lot of ways where we can analyze a lot of data, do some kind of very complex type of learning, and we assign people in different categories depending on the historic information that I have. Because at the end of the day, Fintech A is not the same as Fintech B. We have different type of personnel that we work with, and it's not only one type of scenario that works for both. So there's a lot of applications that we're actually excited about, and we're doing right now. It can like have an AI component over there. Risk assessment is very closely when it comes to that, because again, as a fintech, you want to make sure that you're working with someone with low risk. Historically would say like, okay, if you're between 20 and 30, you're medium risk, between 30 and 40, you're high risk. That's not enough. So there's so much attributes over here, and again, like every fintech is unique about the experience that they want to provide for their customers. And they're not catered for every single customer. Every single fintech has a certain profile. What I tend to call an ICP, and this is important to me, ideal client profile. So everybody needs to be focused, and this ideal client profile is a fit for my type of business, and I need to understand this type of profile, which I'm trying to serve, what is their risk, and how I can bucket them in when it comes to over here. That's another type of AI aspect that we see in the system. Fraud, this is something that we actually, even myself, like we talk about it like for hours, because we provide a fraud solution, and it's all about fraudsters. Fraudsters are very smart. There's so much creative ways where fraudsters from any part of the world, because they will access or sign up with your fintech or application, and they can take advantage of it. Right now, let's say fintechs, they don't have a large volume, let's say, and you're just going to say like, okay, I'll work with all of them, I'll take the risk. But at some point that we have to be a little bit more proactive about it, and it's so complex. There's the VPN technology, mule accounts, account takeover, blacklisted IPs. I can keep going and going. And what we have seen is the fraudsters are always 2-3 steps ahead. So how do we make these rules? Usually, okay, after 3-4 months, we realize this type of, there's fraudsters, for instance, they figure out to hack in our system in terms of, let's say, doing transaction at a certain frequency, and our system doesn't detect it. So after losing millions of dollars, then they put the scenario. So the idea is with AI, if I can look at patterns, type of behaviors, and I will let the system share or recommend certain situation where this, let's say, transaction is suspicious. Financial services, maybe I touched it on a little bit, but again, every fintech is different. Everyone is providing the best experience to their customers. So I can think of a fintech that is focused on F&B, on merchants, or on the end user. I can think of something that is catered for the crowdfunding, for real estate, and so on. There are so many ideas, and I'm sure you guys know it more than I do. But again, how we can provide that personalized level of experience is very, very, very important. No matter what and how smart we are, we're getting more data. It's very important to look at it from a different perspective. And there's a lot of application that can be done over there. Again, there's a lot of experiences over here that can be an investment, and even in like chatbots. Actually, Muzan has a technology that we have built through natural language processing in Arabic, where we can have a very decent conversation, let's say, with your customer base. So again, these are samples of applications that we're seeing right now. They're more related to what we do today as Muzan, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of other applications in mind. The beauty of this, like, we're seeing the fintech, we're seeing the AI, but there's something in between. It's all about this ideal client, the customer profile that you're working on. And if a fintech wants to be successful on providing something unique, they need to provide something very personalized. Other than that, it's a commodity, I'm sorry. And if it's a commodity, someone else will come in and have the same idea and give it for a cheaper price, and you're out of competition. So again, and that happened through history. It's nothing new. And I can look at an example when it comes to, for instance, servers. Remember in the good old days, We used to buy servers. It had a certain RAM. Server A, server B, they have the same requirement. Who would you buy? The cheaper. So the same thing with fintech. If you're providing a certain service and fintech B is providing a certain service that's very basic, it will be easy to be replaced. So it's very important to figure out, like, with experience, at the end of the day, if we're talking about a young startup, let's say, and I have a great idea, I believe there is a problem, I think I can solve it, I have done an MVP, everything is in place, you will never know your exact customer profile until you have worked with a few. And then you start becoming closer, like, I have this product today and it serves perfectly this type of customer. So how close can I bridge that gap? You will have data, and how I can make sense out of this data. And that's the beauty of when it comes to AI, when it comes to it, and learning about these data. So again, like talking about, like, there's a lot of discussions when it comes to AI. We see automations right now, certain, what do you call it, tasks in place where we're trying to reduce the element of redundant tasks, where I try to minimize the cost of doing things a little bit quicker. And I think we're all seeing different applications when it comes to a company level or even on a personal level. Like, there's a lot of solutions personally where you can help you write things quicker, give you a certain analysis. I love these applications whenever you can upload a PDF and it gives me right away the result, rather than, I wish I had more time to read, but sometimes we just like get this 30-page PDF. I can put it in this application and give me like a one-page summary. I love those type of applications. I wish I had them when I was in school. I don't know how you guys like it still. That's another thing. But again, like, it's this next step. We're not there yet, but we're seeing certain advancement when it comes to that. So this, again, like, this is what we're seeing today from a Muslim perspective. Again, we're trying to learn a lot of things over there, over here when it comes to AI technologies and machine learning. The first projects we've done a while ago, it was mostly about machine learning. So we had few data points, not a lot, and we tried to make sense out of them. Providing certain answers. The idea was, like, can you give me, like, if I change a certain metrics, can you give me that result in real time? And that was the first thing that we started to crack the system. So it was very basic type of machine learning. Then we started to add other applications on top of that data. So we made them a little bit more complex by feeding them more data. So give them more inputs, getting them connecting that system with other systems. So doing the API integration, and again, like, most, from our perspective, like financial institutes, they sit down, like, usually they have between 8 to 12 different systems. It could be a core banking, CRM, application. There's so much data over there. And the data is available through very simple APIs. So we started to map that data in a way that makes sense to us, put it in our systems, and provide more complex formulas. And that's where the fun started. Now, right now, we are at the phase where we're doing deep learning. So the idea of this is we're doing something more complex. We're doing more understanding, like complex understanding. We're feeding the system with a lot of data. We're giving them more complex, let's say, problems. And we're trying to give them different layers of structures. So in a sense, we're seeing different type of results over here, or trying to solve more complex problems. That's where we're at right now. We're seeing a lot of success over there. That's where the fun starts, by the way. And you start seeing a lot of aha moments. And this is fun from a sales perspective, because if you do a POC and you do all the hard work the team is doing, like the data analysis is spending days. I want to salute the soldiers on the ground. They spend a lot of time mapping that data. The data scientist is trying to make sense of that data. And at the end of the day, I come in and, like, check this report. We give a lot of insights to the business owner, and we see aha moment and makes my life easier. So there's a lot of applications over there, but at the same time, there's a lot of challenges. Where the data is, can I pull the data, what does that data mean, and so on. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes. It's really not easy, but it's getting there. And I think actually I heard it from our chief data scientist, is like the worst enemy of AI is uncategorized type of data. So that's the challenge that we have. And actually, we spend a lot of time actually supporting our clients in cleaning their data so we can make sense of it. Natural language processing is something that we have done for a while. We're very proud of it. At the end of the day, there's a lot of solutions in the globe when it comes to, in the world, let's say, when it comes to AI. The difference is we speak Arabic. So that's very, very important. So we have a layer of technology that can understand in Arabic. So that gives us a very unique definition. And at the end of the day, Muzun is a Saudi company that is focused on problems in this region. We have competitors, but none are from this region. So most of them, they do a lot of great technologies, but it doesn't speak Arabic. So it defies the purpose. And that's seriously one of our main advantages over here, because no one can enter the market because of our experience in Arabic language, and it's very, very important. So we have trained the system a lot. We have a natural language processing in our system, so we have done really well. And I'll talk later on. I think I have a slide or two talking more about this and the application that we're doing. And I think like the message that I'm trying to give, to think about this when it comes into like doing something that has the Arabic component. And that seriously will give you the edge and protect you from any, let's say, multinational companies coming in and taking advantage of you. And then the future of AI in finance just started. We do a lot of these discussions with the financial institutes, and everybody's asking for more. They're demanding us for more. Even though if for example, it's not mandated to have such type of technology, but they are asking for more AI component and more machine learning and more behavior analysis, and to become a little bit, not a little bit more, they want to become proactive. Most of the things that we're doing right now is reactive, after the fact. Now, how can you become more proactive? And that's very, very important. And there's a lot of pressure on us, but we're very excited about these challenges. And this is what we're trying to crack. So we're, again, we're still early in our road, but we're really excited about the future. We'll talk about one topic is about Fintech, how it's disrupting the landscape over here. So if you can help me. Traditionally, not far ago, I don't know how many years when we started to see fintechs, but when we want to do a transaction, we just simply go to a bank. And I don't know, I've been in Saudi for the past year only. I have not visited a bank, not even once. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm happy about that. It's a pain to go to a bank, waiting in the queue, do that slip, and do a transaction. So what's happening is with our applications, with our phones, with everything that we're doing right now, there is more opportunities. Banks are very difficult to change. It's very difficult to change, and here's the opportunity to take advantage of that, because I'm sure again, all of us, we're trying to do, we all deal with fintech applications. We're doing transactions through our phones. We started to see different applications serving the same thing, and depending on the experience that you have, you'll choose which company you want to work with. But again, I always say when I discuss about this is, part of me is saying, but I'll let this for Saudi fintech say it, everything is becoming fintech here in Saudi. So, and I think that's the direction where we're going. We're going to see so many fintechs, all of them providing a very niche type of service, that is perfect for what you're looking at. So again, there's a huge opportunities over here for everyone to take advantage of it. Again, like banks are challenging, they cannot do a lot of things, they're slow, they don't provide you that level of experience. You want to share a certain transaction with someone. If it's a bank, it takes 2, 3, 4 days. Now we have to do it on a spot and so on. And again, I think the route to make financing easier for everyone, it is fintech. However, I have to say it in a different perspective that like Sam is doing an excellent job in making sure we're doing it in steady steps, because a full open-fledged market is scary. Maybe I come from a background of AML, anti-money laundering. There's a lot of bad things that can easily happen if not the right controls or frameworks are in place. And there's a fine line between like, do we let everything become fintech or we control it? And the balance that I personally been witnessing in the kingdom is very impressive. Rarely you can see, and I've been lucky enough to work in a lot of great countries. I've worked in the US, Singapore, UK, and Australia before. I've never seen a revolution like this, seriously, full stop. And even in the US, fintechs are still like banks are controlling a lot of these transactions over there. So finding that balance, minimizing money laundering, controlling the fraudsters, giving the ability for the community to build the best solutions in place, it's pretty impressive. So that's a very important piece to the puzzle over here. Again, because there's a lot of fraud, simple as that. Sometimes I sit down with, I don't know, I can share it to some extent. We sit down with the anti-money divisions within banks. The stories that you hear is so creative. And it's not about big amounts. It's very small amounts on a huge volume. The amount of money laundering and fraud that is happening, it's ridiculous. I'll add a certain component like maybe we've done a project with a certain bank or a certain financial institute. We put our systems over there. We realize fraudulent transactions in tens of millions. And these are fraudulent accounts that no one knew about. So most of the fraud, by the way, you don't know about it because it happened already. After you see a trend, like, oh wow, there's a trend, you start stopping it. Then you realize the savings. And always, again, these people are one step, actually 2, 3 steps ahead. And it's very difficult to control them. So finding that balance in terms of the landscape is very, very, very critical. And it requires time, patience, experience, and doing things in the right way. So yeah, like I started talking about the landscape over here, and it needs to be taken into, there's so many aspects that we need to take into consideration when it comes to it. One of the things that we want to look at, again, like the way I see it is there's a lot of challenges. That means you have an opportunity. So all these young, great, smart entrepreneurs, what do? They solve a problem. Simple as that. That's the first question. If you're not solving a problem, don't do it. And it's not like any problem, a problem that makes sense, a problem that no one else can solve. So the more problems, for me, it's actually something good. I can also, I take it from a personal perspective. I always say that like my team comes to me and they're like, we're giving you a lot of problems. I'm like, if I didn't have problems, they will not pay me my salary. So that's fine, that's good. So it's always a positive thing. So one of the challenges that we're seeing over here, we have the complexity of the regulatory landscape. It's very, very complex. It's not easy. It takes, like, for instance, it takes a long time for fintechs to take a license. They have to do a lot of work. And usually, fintechs, when they start thinking about things, the last thing they take into consideration that, oh, I have to deal with compliances. They never think about this aspect. A lot of times I sit down with very smart CEOs, like, why do I need this? Well, you're not going to get a license if you don't have this in place. And this is not only to protect you from losing money, protecting the people from losing their money, because at the end of the day, they are trusting you with the money. And this is really, really important. And not a lot of people take this in consideration, or they look at it as a checkbox, which is even more critical at this point. And when they realize they need to invest in this, it's a little bit too late. I've seen a lot of examples that the same setup, like again, they didn't do the right things from the beginning. They end up investing way much more, losing times, and affecting their customer experience. And especially if you're still early in your stage, you have to get this perfect. The only thing that you have, your equity, is your customer experience. Personally, think about it this way. You sign up for an app, it gave you a bad experience. You'll delete it. Even though it didn't give you the right thing at the end, but if it's a bad experience, it will be simply deleted. But if it's an easy experience, especially that if it's a behavior type of action. So what I mean by that, it's a decision I take it on the spot. I don't need to ask 10 people, or I need to check with a lot of people. It's a decision. I'm gonna, like, for instance, buy this. I wanna do it right now. If I can do it right now, great. Not, you're out. So this is very, very important when you look at it from a customer experience perspective. Data privacy concern, بالسعودية, I think it's the only country, I know it's the only country in the Middle East that requires data hosting in the kingdom. And that's actually impressive. And I'll give credit to Sam when it comes to this. This is actually not mandated with any countries, even in the GCC. Unless it's government or sensitive information, then we become a little bit more technicality. But that's very, very, very important. I know this is very important in the US, in the UK. There's a lot of compliances about it, the type of data, and you go through a lot of details when it comes to it. But this shows the level of advancement the kingdom is right now in its central bank. Again, I'll even repeat this one more time, is the openness with fintech, maintaining a very strong safeguard landscape. And they're getting into the details of where is your data. And this is very, very, very important. And actually, as Muslim, we like it. We're the only locally hosted solution, so it gives us a little bit more edge. It's an unfair advantage, but I'm not going to say no. Ethical consideration, I think we all like looking at social media, with the videos, TV, about the ethical component when it comes to AI. There's a lot of consideration. Hopefully, mankind will do the right thing. I don't know. This can be an interesting debate, but I see good in people, and I'll give benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. Another thing that I mentioned is integrating, because no system is standing alone. There's multiple systems. You're never going to find, whatever you do, like, and not even in compliance, whatever you do, you're not going to find one system that does everything for you. No way. Even as a fintech, no way. You have to be good or perfect in one thing, or you're going to be mediocre in many things. So when you have multiple systems, your customers going to have multiple data points. So connecting, like, this is, again, APIs is very, very, very important. Having very mature APIs, very simple APIs, very simple integration. These things are vital right now. And you're going to have multiple systems. They need to talk to each other. And that's a challenge that we're seeing right now. Again, like, maybe I'm talking from a financial perspective. They have a lot of solutions, but I don't know, I'll take an example of a fintech. You have the CRM, you have the marketing solution, you have the marketing automation, you have your financial institute. Everybody comes to me like, you don't have a system that can do everything for me. I can put the dollar in, gives me all the reports, and it gives you the dollar out. It doesn't exist. You need to have multiple systems in place. So it's very important to do that. And the challenging right now, there's still a lot of legacy systems. So what I mean by legacy system, software-based systems. And usually, yes, they expose data, but I don't know if anybody did this before. It's super difficult. Tfadali. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, give me the example. I love it. I need to drink some water, so you can give me, like, what type of, when did you try to open a legacy system or something? yeah, they're heavy. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and you are right about the integration. But to be honest with you, we should think of R3, Corda. We need a network, private network, like what's happening in America with this consortium, where JP Morgan walked away from. And my startup is Uniledger. I'm a fintech lab startup, and I'm starting to do this. I've done an integration. I don't want to take time from this, but I've done an integration between Arab National Bank, NCDC, and a government organization. And we achieved the highest in the world security infrastructure.
Oh, wow.
Maturity.
Congratulations. That's not easy.
And this is, we done it, by the way, 2012.
Okay.
Went live as a start point. Built the system in 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Live in 2015. Story success in 18. Published paper. Recognized internationally July 2019. But this is also a system that it's a public-private key. There is no hash to secure the data. And there is no digital twins. And the way you describe, by the way, we can take it offline.
Sure, it would be my pleasure. But yeah, like I'm with you. These are the challenges I think all of us are seeing right now. It's getting easier. Because like competition is coming in, it's not like I have a cheaper technology or a nicer UI, which is important. I can integrate quicker. And especially with banks, it takes years. And if you can come in and do things like with Muzon, our competition will take 8 to 12 months to implement their solutions. And it has a very big fee. For us, we do it for free in 4 weeks. And we do deliver. So why? Because we build a very simple APIs, we understand the infrastructure, we just like, I don't want to say it's plug and play, there's still a lot of work over there, but it's done in a very easy manner. And it doesn't require a lot of teams. But these are challenges that we're seeing right now. And on the other side, we're looking about these opportunities. Again, time of implementation, making sure these systems are making more sense, improving efficiency. Efficiency can be like, I have system A is giving me a certain report, I need system B for the second report. They will never be the same. They will never be the same, no matter what you do. So having these type of like very simple ways of communication, and I think there's a lot of opportunities over there, by the way. Customer experience, I'll keep like whatever I do, I focus on the customer profile. Whatever I do in my career, whether it was being part of like a fintech or being in sales or being in commercial or being in revenue, I always think about things like my experience tends to be from Series A until C. I don't like working with mature companies. I get bored, and I got comfortable in these type of companies. So whenever I walk into a new team, okay, Ahmed, what do you want to do? Like, okay, let's figure out who is our customers and let me understand their journey. And each journey, I start looking at what main points I can solve in a very simple fashion. And that's how I keep looking at the experience. And when we look at AI component and this fintech, like you can really, like I'll go back one of the first slides, is providing a very personalized experience. That's really, really, really important. A seamless transition within that onboarding phase. Advanced analytics, I think we all can relate to this to some extent. We always say the tool is as good as its report. That's what I look at. Now, what type of reports you can give me? Historically, software has a certain built-in report. Khalas, I have this report A, I click on it, this is the data. If it's a great solution, I can add or custom or filter things, but you're stuck within a certain framework, and then you ask your team to do an Excel sheet. And it's a headache. I hate Excel sheets, but that's a different story. But if you can do type of analytics within the AI aspect, I know it's easier said than done, but something that relates to the business that they can make decisions, simple as that. There is so much opportunities over there. There's a lot. products, building better products, and I think I'll go back to your profile of customers. If you know your customers, you can really build better products. I'm not a product person, but I have a lot of passion when it comes to that, and it's always about the story, what story you want to deliver. And if you know that story, you know your product, your client, you can build the best product out there. So there's so much that we can do. And I think this is one of the most important slides, because I go back, like, the beauty of, like, Fintech came to solve a certain problem that is out there. And I think all these great startups are coming in place to solve a problem. And the more problems that we have, the more opportunities. The more opportunities, the more money we make. And I don't know why, I don't know about you guys. I like to make the world a better place, but I would like to make more money. And if maybe that's the American in me, but can help me with that. So again, I think this is just like to some things in a certain perspective of what we've been discussing in the previous slide, is that there's so much is happening. And even when we look at it from a compliance perspective, we just covered the benchmark, and that was the first step. Like, okay, what can we do to cover what is required today? Now, when we started to give people this, they want more. Give me more analytics. Give me more pattern behavior analyzing. Give me real-time data. Give me the ability to build certain scenarios and check with my database. There is so much that you can do over there when it comes to AI. One example, actually, this became like, subhanAllah, yani people think AI is new, but one of the things that are mandated is how we can detect network type of IPs that are doing frauds. And we have to look at patterns and decide, like, this is type of a pattern or a certain location that tends to have high fraudulent accounts. And for us, it's like, why I'm saying this, because I was sitting in a meeting actually today, they were asking about this. Oh yeah, this is already built and it's been like in production for a while. But there's so much application that can happen over here. So again, there's so much collaboration can be done to innovate more. So when we have, again, more problems, we're going to have more opportunities, new ideas that can change a lot with this landscape. And having all these systems talking with each other, because one challenge with the AI, like, I don't want someone to like, hey, like, this is amazing, I have this idea, let me do it AI, and I'm going to become a billionaire. That's not the idea. You need a lot of data to make sense out of this. And I think this is what the world will figure out in the next year or so, because there is a lot of data out there, but you need it to make sense out of it. If you don't have access to the data, what are you going to do? And that's the challenge that small fintechs they will have, is I don't have enough customers to make sense of the data. And you do need a lot of data and time to make sense out of this. And for us, we're a little bit lucky because we had experiences to sit down on top of clients' data. Now, I cannot share those with other clients, but at least I'm working with large institutes that they have years of data. And we can make sense out of them. Now, the idea is, how would fintech take advantage of this challenge? Where is the data? How can I connect my systems? How can I work with other parties? You're not going to be able to figure this out alone. It needs to be an ecosystem of companies and people with different ideas to make sense out of this. But it can easily turn to something amazing. Once you unlock this, solving a certain problem with the ecosystem of companies, making sense of that data, you have a product fit. And that's, again, the holy grail of any startup company. If I have a product fit, by the way, you don't need salespeople, you don't need to pay commission, nothing. You just show it on your website, people will buy it. So what does Muzn do specifically for fintech? We provide a solution that is very easy to work with to make sure you cover your compliance aspects. So it's AML and fraud, anti-money laundering and fraudulent accounts. So we tend to make this type of compliance check, the complex one, easy. And again, like fintechs don't have, like the young fintechs, they don't have the experience when it comes to compliances. The last thing that they want to hire someone with a big salary for compliances. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So we tend to do it very, very easy. Also, like before Muzin exists, fintechs needed to pay 10x what we charge today to be compliant. So we brought in a solution that is very easy at a certain price point that makes sense. It will grow with that fintech. So we try to support the landscape by making this possible, by providing these solutions. Again, easy to use as a very small entry price point that covers all the regulatory type of framework. And that's been happening today. Yani, we're very proud to be supporting the majority of fintechs with Saudi. It took us a while to get here, but again, there's so much things that we're very proud when it comes to the regulation aspect. Most of the solutions out there, they're not scalable. It's very much a software. You buy it, that's very much it. If I want to add new rules, if I want to customize something, you have to pay money for it. That's a certain problem within our system we wanted to eliminate, and that was very, very important, where we give the power to the compliance people to do whatever rules that they want. We wanted to safeguard the reputation of a company because, like, again, we all know, like, if you had like one really bad experience or your reputation got impacted, it will take a long time to bring that confidence back. The last thing that you want to deal with is, for instance, a bank that had a major problem, or even a fintech that had a huge, massive, let's say, money laundering aspect. So these are things that are really, really important. And the threats, I can, again, keep talking maybe on like on a coffee on a side aspect, that the type of threats that we're seeing, they're very creative, by the way. Every time I hear about stuff, and again, they're ahead of the game 2-3 steps. So the threats are becoming different. Why? They're becoming digital. In the good old days, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to, 100 years ago, a cowboy will enter a bank, give me your money, I'll steal it, I'll run away. That's the most that could happen. Then it become about transactions, wires, and so on. But imagine right now, it's an application. You can do so much in terms of fraudsters do a lot to take advantage of that. And even people that want to launder money, do like fraudulent accounts and so on. There's so much that could be done over here. And at the end of the day, you're not checking the identity of the person who's applying for this. There's a lot of solutions when it comes to this. KYC, there's a lot of data that needs to be verified and so on. There's a very hefty process when it comes to it. But again, the evolution of the threats changed. The dynamics changed. So that's something that we actually take in consideration, and this is what keeps evolving our technology as we go. Language complexity, I think I touched a couple of times about the Arabic aspect when it comes to the languaging processing, and that's seriously really, really, really important. Anyone that wants to think about it from this perspective, they need to take that into consideration. And again, like you go to the fintech aspect, what we see, like, I think this is repeated, but they don't have compliance experience, and they shouldn't. They have to focus on the customer experience, not the compliance aspect. But at the same time, they need to make sure they're doing the right thing. And these are the challenges that we've seen when it comes to fintech. So what we have done is, this is actually a nutshell of our solution, by the way. So the last thing that I wanted to do, come over here and like sell my solution, but the idea is I want to try to put the dots on the line over here. So there's a lot of data. We always talk about data entering the system. So if you look at it in the world of compliance, you have the real-time watch list. These are third-party data that keeps updating their data about suspicious people. You have your own data because you're transacting, you're dealing with a lot of people. Maybe you want to label someone. You can look at their behaviors. So I have a lot of customers. I'm seeing a certain trend or something. I can input that in the system. Device IDs. Every device, every phone or computer that you have a certain IP address, MAC address, and so on. These type of information can be captured. Actually, they're captured every single time. Financial data, so I'm looking at, like, for instance, like transactions, frequency, amount, and so on. This type of data is available for any financial institute. Network data is connecting through VPNs or IP addresses and connecting from the first IP address to another IP address and so on. So we have a lot of data that we can input in the system. Now, once we have that data in place, we add the component when it comes to the Arabic phonetic aspect because there's a name. For instance, Ahmed has a different way to be spelled. HMAD, HMAED, so, and there's different variation of this. So our technology looks actually on, it's a fuzzy technology where we look at the phonetics, the sounds of it. So it reduces, like, and there's so many people who have the name Ahmed. So it reduces the number of false negatives. So we make sure that, okay, this is the right person depending on his name. So rather than giving you, for instance, like 20 people have similar names, it becomes 2 or 3. So that reduces the bad data when it comes to this. We have a rule builder. So there are certain rules that you must have. We have a library of rules. It's already there. But at the same time, and these are must-have, but at the same time, a lot of companies want, like, for instance, I deal with a lot of freelancers. They could have multiple high frequency of, of deposits. But I want to look at a certain rhythm. Let's say if someone does 50 deposits in the same day, that's suspicious. But rather than getting in the coding aspect and putting a request and waiting for IT to build something for you, you can do it at a glance, test it, check it out. If it makes sense, you start running it within your database. And then, like, very simple, like any other solution, you have a case management, which is an escalation path. So if this happens, it goes to this person to make the decision, along with the reports. So it might sound complex, but it's actually very, very simple. So we have the data, it goes through certain scenarios, and then we can help these customers that we can manage the risk. There's huge risk when it comes to fintech. It's money at the end of the day. And people will look into your system and try to take advantage of it. That will happen. Now, how to make it easier? That's the idea. Increase team efficiency. Again, like if you have what we call in the industry a lot of alerts, you need a big team to look at it. Maybe it will take a long time. Human error. Excuse me. So that's where, like, you can utilize a certain technology, and that's what we try to do to minimize that and make sure that they're focusing on the right activities. And again, I'm sharing an example over here that could relate to you, and you can structure it in a certain way that relates to your business or your ambition when it comes to over here. At the end of the day, what every single fintech wants to do is to capture customers and reduce churn. And that's the formula. And at the end of the day, you can bring as much customers as you want, but if that not repeating business with you, you're not really in a good place. So if you're doing the right thing by focusing on the right activity, activities to make sure the customer is happy, you're doing the right thing. So it's very important to, I always say, it's like people looking like, yes, I acquired 100 or 1,000 customers this month. It's a great month. People forget how many customers didn't do another business with you. The first customer that comes to your business costs you a lot of money. There's different numbers depending on your fintech, cost of acquisition. It could be between $300 to $600 easily, by the way. If this person comes to your platform and does a transaction and you make 5 cents from him, that doesn't make sense. So it's all about the repeated business, and that happens if you're doing the right activities to make sure their experience is optimal. So this is, again, a continuation for the services that we offer. So we verify people, making sure you're transacting with the right person. So for instance, I want to transact with the bank. They want to make sure I'm the right Ahmed Abbas when it comes to it. We do your due diligence when it comes to the KYC, KYB, know your customer, know your business. So there's a lot of things that you need to do when it comes to that. AML is part of it, the anti-money laundering, which is before the fact, and you have the fraud aspect before the fact. And we look at the financial data of these people, making sure they're doing the right transactions, and we look at their risk assessments. So I think the last couple of slides, I just want to show like what is our technology and what we try to do, and try to connect the dots where we come from. I think we're getting to the end of this presentation, but what we touch base a little bit when it comes to this. So the idea is we want to give you a full view and of your decision making, and I think this should become something for all of us. What we're trying to do, whatever our business model, we're trying to get the 360 view. We want to understand the full cycle. So think about it that way to help people make decision. So one of the things, again, we're looking at the phonetic name matching, which improves accuracy in our case. And there's, again, a lot of machine learning when it comes to that, because with time we fed the system with a lot of names, Arabic names, and we started to understand like which component will reduce the accuracy. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to that. Migration of the data and setup time. Again, we talked about the implementation, APIs and so on, which is really, really important in whatever we do, or actually anybody that does these days. No one will wait for 6 months to start doing, to see results. I don't think anyone has that level of patience, and no one is willing to invest money in a project that they're not going to see its outcome in the next few weeks. It's not going to happen. So that's really, really, really important. Securing the data, making sure you're doing the right thing. Again, data hosting, Data Privacy Act, personal data protection. I think that's a new regulation here in Saudi where they protect individuals' data. Cybersecurity. There's so much that you need to do to make sure that you're taking care of your customers' data. Manual, obviously we want to make things easy, efficient, integrations, scalable solutions. Again, I want a solution that suits me right now, and I'll keep working with it along my journey, because who am I today as a business? I'm going to be in a different place in 6 months, 3 months. I'm not going to say even in years. A lot of these fintechs start with a certain idea, but if we look at all these, let's say, successful fintechs that we have right now, try to remind yourself, or like search what were they a few years ago, 2 years ago, or a year ago. Most probably were a different idea. They pivot with time. So it's very important to have whatever you do an agile type of technology that supports you through that journey. Again, easy to build, configure, and so on. No one will buy a system that requires coding. I want to do things very, very easy and right now. The good old days when you need to change something, you need to call the developer and start working on it, and they promise you in 3 months, we'll upload this, we'll test it out. So that's not going to happen. So it needs to be very, very, very easy to configure. Every single system still requires a lot of improvement. I know everyone, all these fintechs have some like great roadmaps. They need to deliver. Customers are demanding, but for a reason. It's a good thing. Like whenever I always say, like, I work with a lot of fintechs, and people tell me like these customers are demanding. If they are your ideal customer, I will listen to them, and that's a very good sign. And I want to put like 2 lines under ideal customers, because if they're not your ideal customer, you have a problem. Why did you sell them in the first place? Maybe you want to let them go at that point. And I've actually been in a situation when our largest customer with a multi-million, this was not in Saudi, but it was very large, with a multi-million-dollar yearly contract. They were not our ideal customer, and we had to make a decision to stop working with them. And it was actually one of the best decisions that we ever done, because it was either this customer and I lose everyone else, or I win everyone else and lose one customer. And it was not an easy decision. Again, whatever we want to try to do is localize the Saudi primary. We are focused on the GCC as well. We do have an office in the UAE. We're expanding in the GCC markets. But again, it needs to be localized. That's the first step. We do aspire for globalization, but the reality is you need to get your house in check. The GCC is an extension, Saudi, and maybe after that we can look at the global aspect. But our differentiator is we are local, and we are very proud of it. I want to do a very quick case study. Asil, I don't know if you guys know them, but they're an amazing fintech for real estate. They're one of our dear clients. They had a challenge when it comes to their customer experience. So whenever they wanted to onboard someone, it took a lot of time, simple as that. People get tired when it comes to that. They couldn't assess the risk of their customer accurately. Again, it was a disruptive type of fintech. They were changing the way they were doing business. So they had a different type of ideal customers that they want to go after, and they didn't have a way to manage their risk in a very easy fashion. They were growing really quickly. They needed a solution that scales with them. So as they grow, they had more challenges, and whatever solutions that they had, it just didn't suit them. It's like a shirt that's not suiting them really well. And they end up doing a lot of things manually. There's human errors when it comes to that. So we start working with them to work with their onboarding process. Again, we do the compliance aspect, but it's a very, very, very important part of the journey. It's not only like, okay, my name is Ahmed, first name, last name, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, put 5,000 riyals and you're good to go. We have to do their due diligence, and it takes more time. We need to verify that data. So that's pretty much what we have done. Next slide, please. How we help them, we actually reduced the onboarding time from 5 minutes to 40 seconds. And that helped tremendously with their experience. When people found it's very easy to utilize their system and sign up, and there's value in this, and I think everybody wants to just invest in real estate. It's something exciting, really safe. We all know and understand the trajectory of real estate in Saudi. It gave an opportunity to a lot of people to make such investments. We minimize the human error, and they just start adding more and more people, and they added the right people. We made sure that the people that did not match or could be suspicious, that they check them out, and simply they don't deal with them. In the same time, even if someone passes that, we made it very easy for them, because at the end of the day, the solutions in the market, they had scenarios for the type of transactions. They were catered for banks. They're not catered for fintechs. They needed something a little bit different. So we're able, they had a lot of experience in this, but they needed to build more rules and test a few things, and that's where we're able to help them. So they built a very set of rules, and they've done a really good job when it comes to that. That suits their business. So not only they provided the best experience for their customers, but they made sure that the right customers are transacting. And that helped with their journey. They've done a lot of work, but we're very proud to support them when it comes to the compliance aspect and help them to become a better fintech when it comes to that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. I've been talking for a while, but I'm more than happy to take any feedback, discussions, questions. So, تفضلي. Sorry. أنا بقدر أسمع. يس. وفي مايك الأخ بده يساعدنا.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very hands-on, and it touches a lot of pains that we feel it. As I said before, I agree with the IBAs and integration and fragmentation. My question now is related to artificial intelligence, the AI tool, which is your main expertise. What you said is that you cannot be the answer for everything, and we need to collaborate. And for this reason, I'm asking you, because I'm a fintech also, I provide this solution, but it's not my core. My core is a building an engine, which is a shared ledger, where it simplifies the payment process. And I'm very focused only, because when you say fintech, it's very general, but I'm focused only in the payment from the initiation to the completion. And throughout this journey, we map 70 critical paths with 11 very critical points. As an accountant, auditors, and risk assessment, we do something, we call it a walk through the system. And it can be a software, a hardware, or a human touch. And also, every accounting association in the world require at least once a year you do a walkthrough. Nobody in the world do this, to be honest, because as you said, it's fragmented. So even if you've done it in a component, like in an organization, you cannot walk through the whole ecosystem. So we try to do it like this, and we need to outsource some element where we feel that building what-if scenario is really not a futuristic, because the fraud, as you said, is 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. So what we envision is tokenization, where with every live payment, there is 2 twins. One is lagging behind, and one is exploring. This is live, this is reality, not an offline. When I say offline, it can be a private network, but this is like a transaction that moving from the point of the initiation to the completion. So what these 2 twins do, they collect data, and you know, like in Arabia caravan, where someone is ahead of you and one is behind you to protect you. That's what we are doing. We have an AI scientist. He's a PhD, and I'm building this in our lab. So if we can source this with Mozen, we welcome this opportunity, or anyone can collaborate with us.
Inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Blacks, it will be our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed, for your good session.
I appreciate it.
I have a simple question. How do you see Saudi Arabia adopting the AI? Are we having a baby steps, or are we going fast? From your thoughts.
I would not say it's baby steps. I think I'll put it this way, like, look at it. I sit down with a lot of fintechs, and all of them have data scientists right now. So that's the sign for me. If you have the right people behind it, and we see the value, and they started to understand the importance of this, that's the first step. Also, I'll add on it, like having a lot of entities such as, again, Saudi Fintech trying to support these topics. There's a lot of discussions that are happening about this from an educational perspective, so they do want to share the knowledge. In the same time, we see from the government entities trying to embrace this type of technology and do it in the right way. So if we have that type of trinity where we have that people aspect, regulatory aspects, and then we have entities supporting this and educating people, we are in the right direction, and the speed of it is, it becomes secondary at this point.
Thank you, Ahmed, for the presentation. I just have a curious question about Muzin.
Yeah.
Since you have the infrastructure and the knowledge, why you don't become a fintech?
Where are you?
Why you do not become a fintech?
Good question, but we're a RegTech, and to be a little bit more specific. We're not interested in payments or making revenue out of payments. We are focused on a vertical that is called RegTech. And I think in us it's pretty much unique. I'm not really aware of another startup. Maybe there is, like focused in RegTech perspective that is locally. And we bet on the fintech landscape that's going to flourish because that's our bread and butter. So we're trying to be, okay, let me put it this way. Why did I join Muzin? Let me answer your question in a different way. Because Muzin is a deep technology that supports the fintechs. So it's not the beautiful technology on the face. It's something in the back that does a lot of legwork, but it's something that everybody needs. And that's the way I look at it. And I think there's way much more opportunity, not way much more, there's a lot of opportunity over there, and people try to look at the Chinese stuff, which is the fintech aspect. There's nothing wrong when it comes to that, but there's less competition when it comes to the RegTech. This is what I'm seeing right now. I would love to see more RegTech type of technology in this region, بصراحة. It would be fun, because there's so much that it's needed, and we will not cover it all. There's a lot of things, and our customers are asking it for us, and بصراحة it's sad that we have to recommend them to international companies to do that part. At one time, hopefully we can deliver everything, but we just simply can't.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Hi, this is Abdurrahman Al-Bawardi. Starting up company creator. I got a question actually, which is related on information technology projects. Is there any feature or system يعني could take all procedures or the main steps to finalize on and work on information technology project? And as a system or as a platform to
You'll never have, like, again, like, it's a broad terminology when you talk about information system. It means a lot of things. But the short answer is, in my opinion, that you will not be able to do everything perfectly. You can maybe, like, again, I'm thinking out loud, I don't know, but what I know is, like, maybe you can have something that is focused on a certain vertical or a certain customer, because each customer might have something a little bit different. It's not the same processes wherever you go. So can someone do everything? If that's your question.
يعني let us suppose that the يعني for example Jira system. Jira system, but there you accomplish 4 steps, not the whole project. You can finalize there.
True.
يعني could we find يعني some solution or some techniques that could help taking someone as a manager who's taking responsibilities for finalizing يعني
حتى even Jira, whenever I log in, I cringe. يعني, so I don't know about you. And I'm sure someone can do something better. يعني. There's, if you can do something that is easier and fitted for a certain, start with one type of customer that you know their business really well and you make their life easier, start from over there. But again, like even Jira, yani, it works for certain companies, and I think it's like the worst of all devils because you have to work with them, and people got used to it, but I don't think anyone is happy with them.
Okay, thank you very much.
عفواً.